Hello everyone, and welcome to the Adam Kiss Show. Today, I'm very glad to be talking to you about the movie Vertigo, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Absolutely one of my favorite movies. It's been a big inspiration to me for many years now. I absolutely love this movie, and I just really can't wait to start talking about it. But before I do, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, give us a like and share, and follow us on all social media for more great content just like this. All right, so without further ado, let's get right into Vertigo. So Vertigo is often considered to be Hitchcock's masterpiece, and in a certain way, I can't really argue with that. I mean, it might not be my absolute favorite Hitchcock movie, but it certainly is one of my favorite movies of all time. I mean, so many Hitchcock movies are among my favorite movies. It's definitely very different from certain other of his films, like obviously North by Northwest or To Catch a Thief or even Rear Window. It's very different from all of those. I mean, it almost starts in a noirish fashion where, James Stewart, he kind of acts as the detective for a while, but it's definitely not really a noir film. It really kind of has its own genre in a way. I mean, it's just, there's not many movies I can compare it to. I mean, now it's been by De Palma, he did a quasi-remake of it, and other people have obviously done movies now that are somewhat similar to it or have similar themes. But in terms of Hitchcock, I would say that it's probably his deepest movie in terms of like emotion. It's probably his most emotional movie. He really goes to those emotional depths that you don't always see in his movies. And I think that's really a great thing. I mean, a lot of people do criticize the plot that, certain things don't make sense or that, but it's not about that. And that's something that I want to stress, that a lot of times in movies, things maybe don't make sense with the plot, but in life, things don't make sense with the plot too. So just because something is a plot hole doesn't necessarily mean that it can't happen. At least that's the way I like to look at things. I mean, we like to think that movies are so logical, but life is the farthest thing from logical. At least in my experience, I found that life is very unlogical. I don't want to get too much into the plot because that's something that anybody who's seen the movie would know or anyone can look up very quickly. I like to get into, more of the deep and behind the scenes things. But essentially, it's about Scotty, played by James Stewart, and he suffers from vertigo, as we see in an early incident at the beginning of the film. And basically, an old college friend, I believe, hires him to follow his wife, who he believes is possessed, and she's wandering around, and he doesn't know where she's going. And so he follows her. A lot of weird things happen there. She ends up dying. He blames himself. And then he meets another woman who looks exactly like her. And that's really the whole bare bones of the plot and the mystery and the suspense in there. Now, interestingly enough, I mean, Hitchcock did not consider his films mystery films. So this film obviously does have a big mystery of how this woman looks exactly like the one he used to know. Now, in the middle of the movie, Hitchcock gives away that mystery because he favors suspense over mystery. He will always choose suspense over mystery any day. And so he gives away the mystery that she was acting, it's actually the same woman, and she was acting, just pretending to be the other man's wife. And there's a whole elaborate plot. I won't give any spoilers for that. But essentially, he gives all that away, and a lot of people wondered if that was the right choice, the people around him. And even he, I believe, wondered if it was the right choice. There's the famous letter scene in the middle that gives the plot away. But what he wanted was the suspense, that the audience knows more than the James Stewart character knows. And it's not about what happens. It's about when will he find out? What will he do? What's going to happen? Will he ever find out? What's going to happen? It's really all about that. I mentioned before on this channel the bomb under the table theory. I guess I'll repeat it once more. So Hitchcock's theory was that if you have a bunch of people sitting around a table talking about something like baseball or math or whatever, it can be very boring. They're just sitting and talking. But if you show the audience that there's a bomb under the table during the conversation, suddenly that conversation becomes very interesting. As for the casting, I think that James Stewart does a great job. So does Kim Novak. I believe that Kim Novak and Hitchcock maybe didn't get along so well, at least from what I've heard behind the scenes. I think that once she went up to him asking what her motivation was for a scene, as an actor, as an actress, and he kind of retorted saying, yeah, let's not talk too deeply about that stuff. It's just a movie. And that's something that Hitchcock often did. He would just say, it's just a movie, I think that Paul Newman famously didn't get along with him because he would always go up to Hitchcock asking for, what's my motivation in this scene? Let's talk about the scene. And Hitchcock would say, your motivation is your salary. All the millions of dollars you're getting for this movie. So that's kind of what he would like to use to joke about those kind of things. He definitely didn't like to take things too seriously in that way. It's not that he didn't care about the acting, he just felt that that was the actor's job to do, and his job as the director was to, place the scene, block the scene, and then their job was to deliver the performance. That was kind of an old school way of thinking, and I don't think there's, anything wrong with that necessarily. I mean, I'm definitely a little different than that. I definitely like to delve into these things. As a director, I like to talk about these things, but to each his own, I guess. I mean, there's no law saying you have to, and I think that it's great to work different ways. So, hey, more power to him if he worked that way. And I definitely could have worked that way with him as an actor. As an actor myself, I don't think as a director I would have worked exactly that way. But hey, who knows? There's different ways of working, different ways of experimenting. C'est la vie, huh? But back to the subject at hand, Vertigo. And who could talk about Vertigo without talking about that magnificent Bernard Herrmann score? I think it's really one of the great scores of all time. It was influenced by Tristan und Isolde. An interesting thing is that for my movie, My Last Words, my mom, Christina Kiss, who's a concert pianist, is playing the Liszt transcription of Wagner's Tristan und Isolde in a scene that I believe it fits very well into the score. So again, that's a little tidbit, a little connection to me. It's really just an incredible score, and especially in that one particular scene where he sees her again. She comes back, and he makes her do her hair and her makeup, everything the same way that the first woman did it. And he sees her again, and that's when the score really swells. And that's definitely a scene that's inspired me. I absolutely love it, and I think that that's really one of the best scenes in the movie. Anyway, those are some of my thoughts on Hitchcock's Vertigo. Definitely like and share the video, and follow us on all social media. All right, that's all, folks.